All right, what's up, everybody? I've done like movie reviews and stuff occasionally on the channel, but now I'm going to be reviewing the first two episodes of Avatar: The Last Airbender live action adaptation of the animated show on Netflix. So I mean, I'll just put up some gameplay and maybe post some pictures of occasionally what I'm talking about, just because I don't want to use like full clips because I guess Netflix has been blocking people. Not everyone I've seen, but like I don't even want to run the risk, so I'll just like put like pictures of what I'm talking about, but along with the game, which I will eventually play all the Avatar games on the channel. But anyway, so let's get into it. So I knew within the first 5 minutes that this was better than the movie, because I mean it's kind of been weird seeing what I have like. I've been seeing like people saying that they absolutely love it, and I've also been seeing people like absolutely shitting on it, and saying like, "Oh, this is as bad as the Shyamalan movies. This is horrible. This is an injustice of the show. We must, try them and put them to death." Like, no, come on, let's relax. So, in my opinion, going into it, I didn't have expectations that it would even meet the show, or I thought, I always know, I think that always the show will be better. But even the show has occasionally it has its problems. It's not absolutely perfect. There's a few things here and there that could be used that could be criticized within the show itself. So I had going into it, I knew that it wasn't going to be like the show. I wasn't expecting an exact, you know, scene by scene, adaptation of from the because obviously it's live action, you're gonna have to change things, and also keep in mind that they're trying to cram like what I mean. There's 8 episodes, they're about an hour each, so 8 hours total. And how many episodes were in the first season? Oh god, this is gonna bother me. I think there was like 10, 10 or no, there might have been 12 episodes in the first season, but they're 22 minutes each. So it's like you're trying to condense some things. You can skip some things there. But anyway, so obviously this is going to be spoilers because it's a review of the first two episodes. I'm going to do it by two episodes because I think it's better to do it that way. That way, I can like fully digest about it and think about it a little bit versus just like watching it all at once and then trying to recount everything. So that's how I'm going to do it. Is I'm going to do it. I'm going to watch it 2 episodes a day and then talk about like what I think about it and just do it that way. So the first thing I liked was that we kind of get like a prologue. We get a prologue of these Fire Nation soldiers that are chasing this Earthbender, who is basically they're running to trying to get the plans for the Earthbender, so that way the Earthbender can or the Earth King can know what the Fire Nation is planning. And then basically it's revealed that Sozin, wanted them to have the plans. That way, the focus wouldn't be on. They'd be more focused on the Earth Kingdom, and they wouldn't be focused on any other nation. And obviously, if you know the story, he wants to take out the air nomads because he knows where that's the next Avatar is going to come from after Roku died. So I liked that they showed how everything happened, how the Fire Nation invaded the Air Temple, how they basically slaughtered everyone there, and I also like that they brought everyone together for the Comet Festival. That the air nomads were going to celebrate the Comet Festival, and that a lot of the air nomads were there at the temple, and that explains why kind of like in one. Well, not maybe it wasn't just one attack, but in the first major attack against the Air Nation, that or against the air nomads, that a lot of them were taken out. Because I always wondered that too. Like, how did none of them escape ever? But I think that eventually in Korra it's revealed later on. But I never finished Korra and I didn't watch the comics. So like I watched the full season of the show or the full series of the animated show, but I haven't seen all of Korra. I didn't read all the comics, so I don't know everything there is to know about Avatar. But anyway, I also like show like they showed basically how the air nomads lived and kind of a little bit more about their culture because in my opinion the air nomad the airbenders are my favorite. If I were to pick an element it'd probably be air. I think it's very underappreciated. Don't be wrong, earth and fire are cool too, but I would pick air just because that's kind of the I kind of see myself more as kind of like aligned with them anyway. I don't even know if I think my birthday is an air sign as well. I'll double check, but I think it is, but I don't know. But anyway, um so I like that they showed a little bit of the culture there, and I like the actor that they picked to play Aang. At first, I thought I was like, oh, he's gonna be a typical child actor. He's gonna be like the movie version of the Shyamalan, where he's gonna be like so kind of bland and awful, or he's gonna be like over the top, like whoop like doing backflips all the time. And I think the way this actor is doing it so far, anyway, within the first two episodes, I think that he's doing it right. He has the right mix of seriousness, but also the right mix of being a kid, and that he's not too like over the top, and he's not like bland like the Shyamalan version. So I think the actor who's playing Aang is doing a great job. I think the actor who played Monk Yatso is doing a great job. And that was like such a touching scene where where Yatso reveals that he's the Avatar, and Aang's like basically like, well, can we just pretend like life is normal and stuff, and can I still pretend to be your friend? And Monkey Yachts is like, you'll always be my friend, and I love how they go back to it later on, when he returns to the air temple after everything happens. But anyway, and the choreography. Oh, that's another thing. The choreography and the effects I think are good. Some people were complaining about them, but I think they're good, especially for like airbending. Like that has to be so hard to show in live action, because in animation you can draw it, right? Like, you could draw like faint lines to show that the person is airbending, but in the live action it's really hard to do that. You almost have to like show like the dirt being kicked up around them, or like whatever is like being whatever is like around them moving, to show that they are bending the air around them. And I think that the fights were great, and it's crazy to see it, like how they use from like a logical standpoint, right? So like obviously fire grows more with air, right? And I remember there was this one where this woman, this airbender woman, she had like this vortex that she was bending around, this like tornado almost she was bending around him. And basically like Sozin walked up, and he literally just incendiated the whole air around her, and basically she burned her, like it turned it from an air tornado, air vortex, to a burning, like a firestorm almost, and just completely turned her into ashes. And then you also okay, so before I go there too far, so Aang's like, I don't want to be the Avatar, I don't want this responsibility, and basically he's shown to be more advanced among the Airbenders, which makes sense. And Aang's like, I don't want to do this, I don't want this pressure on my shoulder, and so he talks to Appa about it. But the one thing I kind of don't like what they did here was that they made it like they should have made it so that he was like running away more, like kind of like not like, because there they made it seem like, oh well, let's go get some air, buddy. I know a spot where I can go, to get air and to clear my head, versus like him kind of like more fleeing his responsibilities, kind of. I wish that they kind of would have gone a little bit more that route, like how they did in the show, where basically, he overhears them saying, well, we got to send him away and stuff, and then he just runs away. I think that was a little bit better done in the show, and I wish they would have gone that route, rather than he just like, oh well, I'm gonna go cool off, or I'm gonna go over here. So basically, while he gets on Appa and rides off. Another thing, Appa looks great. He looks great. Like, he doesn't look like ridiculous, and um he doesn't look like too realistic. I think especially with this show, you kind of want to have a little bit, like, you don't want to just be like, oh, hyper realistic. It needs to be so, but you also don't want it to be so cartoony that's like almost laughably bad CGI. Which I think that for the most part it hits right in the middle, and it does it right. So anyway, he gets on Appa, he leaves. Sozin and his troops are just tearing throughout the whole temple. And I also like how they explained how Sozin and the Firebenders got up there by, basically, and it makes sense, like how like Ozai and Aang were in their fight. Like, Ozai was basically propelling himself, and even Azula before the comet, propelling herself up almost like a jetpack, basically. So they're using like firebending to propel themselves up. So that makes sense. And basically, you see, Monk Yatso and Sozin kind of go at it. And even Sozin says, like, you might have bested me here, but with the comet. And basically, it's true, the comet just overpowered him. And so then, after we see everything that happens with the air temple, we go to the Water Tribe village. I like that they named it Wolf Cove. I like that as well. And you also see a little bit more of their culture. And that's one thing I was looking forward to with this series, is that building more of the Avatar world around it that we didn't get to see in the animated show. And she's trying to waterbend, and she's not doing it, as well at it. And I will say that for Katara, for Katara and Sokka, so far Katara, I'm not gonna lie, she kind of seems a little bit bland. Uh, I don't know if that's just how she's written, or if it's the actress delivery, but in my opinion, Katara seems a little bit bland these first two episodes. But then again, I remember in the animated series, she was kind of bland a little bit for the first two episodes, in my opinion, anyway. Um, she was kind of bland a little bit in the beginning as well. And Sokka, I think he's not quite at the level where he's like funny yet. But even remember in the animated series, he wasn't super funny right away either. Um, but I think that the actor they got to play Sokka, I mean, some people are like, "Oh, he's white. What is he playing?" I was like, I think that he has the kind of mannerisms of soccer, right? Like he has the kind of like the facial expressions he makes. You know, obviously you can't express that as well as you would in animation, but the facial expression he makes, like after he makes like a deadpan comment, is almost exactly like how it would be in the show. And even like how he like when they go into the to Kyoshi Island, even like how he like eats and like how he eats like fruit and stuff. I just noticed that little detail is almost exactly similar to how Sokka would do it in the show. So anyway, so I think that he's doing you know, his delivery. Maybe he'll. I'm hoping he gets a little bit funnier towards the end of the series, but so far, you know, he's well. And then let's see what happened. Okay, so then you know, basically like they crash into Aang and he gets let out. And I kind of wish that Sokka would have been more surprised at what happened. Like what is this? Like he was more just like, okay, let's go. Like that's we got this weird bald guy, let's go. But it's just like I kind of wish that he would have been like more like what the heck? Like because even in the cartoon, he was like, what the heck is that? And I kind of wish that they did that a little bit more. And then so for then we go to Zuko and Iroh, and out of everyone so far, I think that their performance has been kind of the closest to the show that out of everybody. I mean, I would say that Aang's performance is kind of close, but I would say that theirs is probably even closer than Aang's is, or the actor playing Aang. Their chemistry is good, you know, and and you could kind of see it plainly out there. Now, I'm kind of wondering because they make it well, even in the show, he didn't really seem like a bad guy, but they made it seem like Iroh kind of really doesn't agree with what the Fire Nation is doing. Um, because he even talks with Aang later on after he gets captured by Zuko. But I think that they've kind of captured that dynamic well. Like even like how he's like in the beginning, how you know he's on the ship and Iroh's like, well, you know, let's say that you do capture the Avatar. Let's say all this does happen. You know, maybe the throne isn't exactly everything you hoped for or everything you wanted. He's kind of like, and I guess that is kind of similar to the show because like throughout the show, he drops similar hints like you know like well maybe Zuko this isn't the right way. Maybe you can do it a different way. And then basically he kind of the only time he like blatantly kind of tells Zuko off a little bit is like when Zuko finds Appa when he's missing, and then you know he has that whole monologue, which is one of my favorite in this series, by the way, where he just tells him like straight out like what he's been trying to tell him the whole you know the whole season and a half before that. But anyway, so you know Zuko, the actor playing Zuko and Iroh, I think are great. And then let's see, we go back to the water. They bring Aang to the water village, and it's kind of weird. I kind of understand why, but I don't know why. Like the actress playing Gran, like she was just like I feel like she was like exposition. That's all she was. You know, like she's kind of like you know, oh, this has happened, and you know that has been for 100 years, and you know, basically she kind of tells the beginning dialogue, but she's kind of like the exposition, and I kind of didn't really like that either. I mean I don't mind exposition in you know series or movies, but you don't need like a every almost every piece of dialogue to come out of a character's mouth to be exposition, you know. And I feel like Katara kind of does that too a little bit sometimes. But so anyway, so you know, like oh, you know, he's the last Airbender. You know, he's probably the Avatar. And I kind of wish that the kind of reveal. So like basically, when Grand like, oh, well, you're the Avatar, and then Sokka and Katara's like, oh, you know what, you're the Avatar, and Sokka gets mad. He's like, "Oh, he lied to us." But I'm like, "You never asked him." Now in the show, they made this point because I think Katara asks Aang, "Are you the Avatar?" And he's like, "No, no, I knew him, but you know, I'm not the Avatar." There, Aang lied, right? But in this case, Aang didn't really lie. It was more by like, I guess if we want to consider a lie, it was just like he omitted that he is the Avatar. If you consider that a lie, which I mean, some people do, some people don't. But I kind of wish that they would have shown, or maybe even Sokka asking him, you know, hey, are you the Avatar? And then, like, if he said no, then I can understand Sokka's reaction there. But his reaction kind of came a little bit out of nowhere, I feel like. All right, so then basically, Aang gets captured. Basically, you know, ends similarly how it did in the show. And the weird thing is his escape. His escape from Zuko's ship, I don't think it was as quite good as it was in the show. And another thing I liked about Zuko, about like the effects, or not the effects, the what is that? What am I thinking of? Like the background, basically like Zuko's room and stuff. It shows how obsessed he's been with hunting the Avatar. Like he has like all these Avatar relics that light up when Aang comes out of the ice, and also like his own like little diary of the Avatars, and then like different drawings and stuff. It's almost like that. It's seen in Sunny in Philadelphia where there's just like everything, all this crap on the wall. It's like, well, it's like when they're trying to solve like a case or something, and they have all this stuff in different connecting lines, and you can just see how obsessed he is with fighting the Avatar. And I like that. I like that they added that detail in there. But his escape from the ship really, I mean, it was fine, but I thought that they could have done it a little bit more closer to the show. Like maybe like that he goes into the Avatar state and uses water bending to to get out of there. Because at this point in the first two episodes, he hasn't even waterbended yet. And by this point in the show, he had already waterbended, in the Avatar state anyway. So I didn't. His escape was kind of easy, not easy, but like it wasn't as much action as it was in the show. Like he just basically almost flies away. They grab Appa and or Katara and Sokka are flying Appa away, and they just grab his hand last second, and then they fly off. Even to get Appa to fly, I feel like that was kind of missing. But I guess I kind of understand that they have to cut stuff out. They have to pace it a little bit faster. But I do feel like that part, the ending part of the first episode, was a little bit rushed. And okay, so then the second, no, not even the second half of the first episode. They go to the Air Temple, which is I think this is episode 2 in the animated series, and I like that they go there and like they see they see it, but I also kind of liked it a little bit better how they did it in the show, where like Katara's trying to hide all these evidence that the Fire Nation had been there, but like they just find it right away. And I kind of wish they would have gone more that route, where Aang's like, oh, there has to be airbenders around, and it kind of builds up. I wish that they would have done that more, like him saying that maybe on the way. They're like, oh, there has to be airbenders that survive. There's no way there could be no more airbenders. Like kind of him being in denial, and then that would make it so when he sees Monkey Yatso's body, that's kind of what really is just like what, like having it set in and that anger coming out, anger and frustration. So I kind of wish that they would have done it more that way, where he's kind of more like expecting that, hoping to find airbenders, and once he sees that, then he knows that he is the last one, anyway. But I do like how they. So obviously, it's kind of similar in the show. That he sees the body and gets triggered by it, and he goes into the Avatar state and starts destroying, almost destroying the whole temple and stuff. And it was kind of different in this case, that it wasn't really Katara that calmed him down. Like in the show, it was Katara basically that calmed him down. But here, it was more like he remembered what Gyatso was saying, and that part was kind of sad, and tugged at my heartstrings a little bit when he basically, you hear what Gyatso said in the beginning to Aang, but it's in a first person perspective. It's like, you will always be my friend. You remember who you are, and yeah, so he calms down and gets out of the Avatar state, and they're like, whoa, what was that? And I mean, I kind of wish that they would have been a little more scared, because like in the animated series, like Sokka's like, I don't know what the heck's going on when he goes and fights Katara and stuff. But so basically after that, he realizes that what he has to do, and he kind of accepts it, but he kind of doesn't. There's still that element of him that doesn't quite accept being the Avatar yet, which I like, right? Because even in the show, it takes him a while to kind of accept it, and he's kind of learning on the fly, because he didn't have anyone to teach him how to be the Avatar. So yeah, so basically, because like the best thing I can do now to not to make it up to them, but to not to avenge them. I'm trying to think of the word I'm saying. I'll use avenge, even though it's not the right word, but to avenge them is to like go and learn all the 4 elements and become the Avatar, and to stop this war. So, and then that kind of ends episode 1. Episode 2, they go to Kyoshi Island, and it's kind of different because they don't show that creature, the Unagi, in there. I don't even think I think it was in the first one they showed it, but this episode played differently for a few reasons. So obviously, the big kind of thing going into it was that they took out Sokka kind of being sexist towards Suki, and they they kind of still do it, but it's not quite. It's more subtle, I think, in this version than it was in the show, and I do think that it kind of does take away from the character a little bit. Like he didn't have to like totally be like, like, oh, you're a girl and you're inferior, like totally like rip her a new one and like be a total asshole. No, but there were certain situations where he's like trying to prove how much of a warrior he is to her, and like she bests him, and then like he just runs away. But I think like what he could have done is like, like maybe like made up an excuse, or oh well, I was going easy on you, or like I wish that they would have done a little more dialogue there about like maybe why perhaps he ran away, or why he felt insecure, or maybe like showing how he was wrong, kind of like they're like there's no like maybe like have him make a comment like as they get to Ireland, like how is she a warrior or something like that, and then like just totally get his ass handed to him. I kind of wish they would have done a little bit more dialogue. If they wanted to go more softer than the show, fine, I guess I understand. Even though like you show the slaughtering of the Air Nation, but you can't show him being sexist, like okay, that doesn't make any sense. But anyway, so I think that the connection's a little bit better. Well, not better, but I like the connection between him and Suki, and I like that they take more time to show it a little bit, and that even that Suki, I think, maybe has more of an arc a little bit in this series. Now, I could be speaking too soon, because like she's kind of like, oh, I've always been on this island. I've never actually seen the world and stuff, and these people coming in are her first chance of experiencing something outside of the island, and I kind of like that as well. I'm trying to think what other things. Oh, that Zhao. Okay, so Zhao, I think he's coming earlier than he did in the show. But basically, Zuko, and Iroh are trying to find more stuff about where Aang might be or where he might have gone, and then Zhao picks up on that. And like, I love how Iroh's like, we're just looking for these kind of whales because they make these great meat, and and then Zhao's like, I'm not buying this. But so far I like Zhao. I don't know if he'll be, not that he was super amazing in the show, but uh, we'll see how he is compared to the show. But so far I like what I see from Zhao. And then, so basically, they go. I forgot to mention this. They go to Kyoshi Island to kind of learn more. Aang's hoping to learn more about what the Avatar state is, like the purpose of it, and like why, how he can control it better. And I think it takes an interesting direction from the show, because so far we haven't even seen Roku yet, and in the show, Roku was kind of the Avatar guiding Aang. But it seems like in this case, maybe we'll get different avatars as he goes to different locations. But in this case, Kyoshi comes, and they go into the statue, and he's just meditating in front of it, and then he basically connects with Avatar Kyoshi. And this is like one of my favorite scenes so far. Is like Kyoshi kind of, I like her tone initially was kind of very, I don't want to say aggressive, but hard. Kind of more like, you have to do this to be the Avatar. You must crush any, sign of imbalance. I don't care what it is. You got to crush it. Kyoshi's like one of the avatars that's like, I don't give a shit. If you are out of balance, I will wreck you and I will end you. and and then like I noticed that like she's like kind of standing over Aang and tells him that, but then she kind of takes him in and it's like, well, he's only a 12-year-old. Then she kind of gets on his level and tells him kind of more like, you really have to do this in order to, you kind of have to do this in order to stop them from hurting more people. And she kind of confronts him about it directly. It's like, well, if you didn't run away, then it wouldn't have been as bad as it was. But honestly, let's be real. Let's be real. If Aang would have been with the air nomads when Sozin attacked, would he have survived? No, I don't think so. He might have had the Avatar state, but he didn't know any of the other elements. So how, like, unless he was in the Avatar state for like the entire battle, I don't think Aang would have survived. I think even with the Avatar state, Aang might have gotten killed because of Sozin's comet. But I don't know. That's just a big hypothetical. Uh, but it's kind of more like Kyoshi kind of puts that blame on him a little bit. But then she kind of shows him, she's like, this is what the Avatar state is, and like because they're invaded the village and they're getting ready to just, destroy the village and stuff. And actually the Kyoshi warriors are holding their own against the Firebenders, which I like, because it kind of puts them kind of on an equal level, right? Like it doesn't matter if you're a bender or not. If you're a skilled fighter, then you can match your opponent, which I like. And so like Kyoshi comes on the scene damn near like out of a Marvel movie almost. Like she just like crushes down, like almost does like the Avengers like knee down, and then like the Fire Nation is like, what the heck? And then like she's like water bending, she's fire bending. She's just like, and they're just like, and Zhao's just like, go retreat, retreat. That's how you know you. That's how you know you screwed up. Is if you see Avatar Kyoshi glowing, it's like, oh god, we need to get out of here now. But yeah, so I liked that they showed her. She comes in earlier than she does in the show. I hope that they do that with a lot of the other avatars as well. Like obviously I want to see like Yang Chen, see Roku, and even Kurik too. Like that'd be cool if like each location that he hasn't, he basically goes to the avatar state and taps into a different avatar, which would be cool and different from what we saw from the show. So obviously Sokka and Suki kiss, and they're, I forgot where they're headed in the, I don't think they showed where they were heading in the other one. Oh, and then the Fire Lord gets news that the Avatar's alive, and that's basically kind of how it ends. So I mean, kind of a recap, a little bit. I don't want to recap too much, but what I think of the first episodes is I think it's good. Is it the best show I've ever watched? No. But is it absolutely horrible, like how some people are acting? No, it's not. I think that some people had their expectations a little bit too high. I think that the Shyamalan movie was so shit that it lowered the bar that I was just happy with almost. I'd be happy with almost anything, and I'm satisfied with this so far. We'll see how it progresses throughout the rest of the season, and yeah. So I hope you guys enjoy this review and recap. I'm definitely enjoying the show so far, and hopefully we'll continue to enjoy the show for the rest of the season. So it'll be interesting to see what I think now versus what I think at the end of the season, which is why I wanted to do it in 2 episodes. That way I could kind of digest and, think about everything like how I said. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoy, and I hope to see you next time. Thank you.